readers, it's Gina from Orchid and Opal.com. As I mentioned earlier this month in my Beebeecraft.com haul, I am back today to share with you a fun project using some of the items that I've received previously from Beebeecraft.com. I will leave all the links below the video as usual, along with the materials list. That way, if you'd like to go ahead and check out some of these products, many of which are available at Beebeecraft, you can do so. And you can also use my special coupon code GINA2019, GINA 2019 to save yourself $5 off an order of $40 or more. And if you are located in the US like I am, you should be able to get all these products shipped to you for free if you have an order totaling $25 or more. So let's talk just a second about these earrings before we get into it. So I have two large drops here. As you can see, these are some 16 by 20 check glass drops that came from the dollarbeadbox.com. It looks like they are still available. I will leave the link to those down below. And then we have these beautiful amethyst gemstone chips that came from Beebeecraft. Here is the look at that kit that I had gotten from Beebeecraft.com. They have all different gemstone kits available. As you can see here, this one has the amethyst chips. Today we are going to be using the turquoise chips. Now, of course, I know not all of you have these large drops, but I do have a different bead I wanted to share, and this came from a viewer, Marianne. She had sent me these really large petals, and they are approximately like 16 by 22 millimeters. I'll try to link these down below as well, but she was really curious about what else could be done with these besides making them into a flower, and I am here to show you how you can use these petals as a similar drop in these cluster earrings. So check your stash, see if you have anything similar. It doesn't even have to be this big, it's just something that needs to be dangling off the bottom so that the cluster of gemstones can cluster around the top. So of course, besides your two drop beads that you decide to use, you will need to have at least 16 gemstone chip beads that coordinate with your drops, whatever you want to use. You will need 2 ear wires of your choice, at least 16 bald head pins. If you only have flat head pins, those will work as well. I just like the look of the bald head pins. You will also need approximately 6 inches of wire. Anything around between 18 to 22 gauge should do. And you will also need approximately 1 inch of chain. I say 1 inch, but you will actually need less than that. I'm actually just using some of this coordinating copper chain, and I'm using 4 links of that. So if you have a chain that you want to use, just go ahead and snip it off so that you have 4 links that you'll be able to use on each earring. That's what you're going to be dangling the gemstone chips off of. And if you don't have coordinating chain, you can also use jump rings connected together to make a similar style chain, just something that those wire wrap loops can attach to. Of course, besides those materials, you're going to need your tools. I have a pair of wire cutters here, a pair of chain nose pliers, and a pair of round nose pliers. Again, that list will be down below, as well as a lot of helpful links to similar products. This is a pretty quick and easy project. Once you get the hang of it, we're going to go ahead and make one earring together, and there are so many possibilities of earrings that you can make from your own stash. Even if you don't have gemstone chips or large drop beads like this, a similar process could be used using a variety of different beads. So I've taken the materials away for the second earring because we're just going to be focusing on one today, and then the process, of course, would be the same for the other one. So I'm going to take my approximately 6 inches of wire, and I'm going to go ahead and snip this. And by the way, this is the wire that I'm using today. It is the Artistic Wire 20 gauge permanently colored wire in the color Antique Brass. However, I am using copper findings today, and I do find that this particular brand, this Artistic Wire in the Antique Brass, actually does look a little bit more copper, so it does work with these particular findings. So go ahead and snip that wire to approximately 3 inches. And what we're going to do first is we are going to make a little wire wrapped loop on the top of this bead right here. That way we can attach it to the bottom of our chain and string it so that it is at about the central point. Doesn't have to be perfect. At this point, you're just going to bend up one side of that wire just like so, and then take the other side of the wire and bend that across the other one, just like that. So as you can see, they're kind of meeting in the middle. Then what you want to do is you want to just give those a little twist. So twist them like that and have one wire going off to one side and the other wire sticking straight up, just like that. Now take your round nose pliers, and just depends on how big you want your loop to be. You can slide them down if you want a bigger loop, or keep them closer to the front if you want a smaller loop. I have mine at right about this section right here, and I'm just going to start my little loop just like that, and take out my round nose pliers and reposition them so that the loop is now on the bottom section. And I've just moved my wire down so it's kind of parallel to this one here that's running up the right hand side, because this other side of our wire that's sticking straight out is going to then wrap around that a couple times and secure it. However, before we do that, I want to go ahead and slip on the bottom of our chain. So go ahead and take your chain, and this is because I know some chain does not have the little open segments, like a jump ring for example. Like I could actually open this up after I've made the loop and attach it, but you have to check your own chain. If you have chain that is completely closed, you wouldn't be able to do that, and you'd have to slip your chain on now like I'm doing. So anyway, go ahead and put your chain on, and then put your pliers back through the loop. Of course, I'm using the bottom segment of my pliers here, just like that. And take the wire that is sticking straight out. I'm just going to turn it in my hand so that it's more comfortable for me as a right-handed person. And then you can just take this wire and start wrapping it around. I'm going to use my other set of pliers right here for some help in order to do that. And just take your time and wrap that around 2 or 3 times. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just try to get it wrapped as nicely as you can. I like to get all the 3 loops right on top of each other so that it looks nice and clean. So there you go. Now we can just tighten up those little loops and straighten everything out. So I'm just going to pinch these together just like that, and then I'm going to just kind of gently straighten our loop out so that it is sticking straight up over the center of our little segment here. Now you see our little excess wire. You can go ahead and snip that off. So take your flush cutters, your wire cutters, and go ahead and snip that as closely as possible. And then if you have a little segment right there sticking out at the end, you can try to go in and cut that again, or just tuck that in with your pliers, or tuck it to the back. Alright, so you should have something that looks like this so far. You've got your wire wrapped loop, and it is attached to your chain with the 4 segments. So at this point we are going to be starting with our gemstone chips and making some little wire wrap loops with those. If you do have chains with the little openings that you can open and close to add your gemstone chips, I would suggest just going ahead and making all 8 of your little gemstone chips assembly line style, and that way you can just go ahead and attach them all at the same time. If you're working with chain that does have the closed links, you will have to work with them one at a time to attach them to each of these little loops. Since I am working with this open chain today, and most of you probably will as well, let's go ahead and start on our gemstone chips. And we're just going to do all 8 of these. So go ahead and pop one of them onto one of your head pins just like so, and you're just going to make a basic wire wrapped loop. Most of you already know how to do that. We did something similar here, but that was for a top drilled type bead. This is of course just a basic style bead with the hole running through the center, but it's a similar process. We're just going to pinch this down at the bottom with our round nose pliers and take our wire and bend this all the way to one side, just like that. Now pivot your round nose pliers about 90 degrees. So you're holding the wire like that, and you're able to wrap this side around the top of those pliers, starting your loop just like that. Now take your pliers and stick that loop on the bottom section, and just continue making that loop by pulling that wire around so that it crosses the piece that's sticking out of the bead, and that side is going in a 90-degree angle. Now I'm just going to switch hands to make it more comfortable for me, and I'm going to grab this end of the wire, and I am just going to twist it around until I have about 3 loops. There we go, something like that. That's what you want. And I'm just going to snip off that excess end of little wire, and we're going to do that with all 8 of our gemstone chips. So as you can see, we're just going to snip off that little end there and gently tuck that little piece in as best you can, and you have something that looks like that. Now we can just straighten up this little loop. And assembly line style, we can just go ahead and make all 8 of those so that they're ready to attach all at the same time. So let's do one more together. And by the way, I like to do these from largest to smallest, so I like the largest ones to sit at the bottom if possible, and then work my way to the top of that chain and add the smallest ones at the very top. I just like the way that looks. So let's grab another one of our large ones. Of course, it doesn't matter what order you do them in at this point. And this one I'm going to do a little bit faster, but you can go back and rewatch me doing that slower process until you get the hang of it if you are newer to making these wire wrapped loops. It does take some practice, but once you get the hang of it, it is not too bad. So there we go. I'm just going to snip off the excess as close as I can there. And straighten up my little loop. And there we go. We have our second little loop ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of these, and then we'll meet back and we will assemble our earring. Alright, so all 8 of these are done, and you'll notice I had a slight change. I changed to a much larger chain just for the video because I want you guys to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. But I am going to ultimately end up using the smaller chain because that's how you really get that nice clustered effect when those little wire wrapped gemstone loops are all clustered close together. If you were to use a larger chain like this, you would need many more clusters of gemstones to achieve that look, and it would be a lot larger. Or you would use the same amount of gemstone chips, of course, and it would just be a much looser look, which is fine too. It's just that we're going for the cluster today. So the first thing you're going to do is locate the bottom link to that chain, and you're going to also locate the opening of it. As you can see with the larger chain, it's a lot easier to see. You're just going to open that up like you would a jump ring, and you're going to locate your largest gemstone chip and pop that on one side of the link of that chain, and then you're going to take your next largest and just go ahead and pop that on the other side. Now you're going to close up that loop, and you may need 2 pair of pliers to do this because it's a larger chain. I'm just going to use my fingers on that one side. So now you're started with those 2 gemstone chips, and you're going to work your way up the chain doing 2 on each of those loops in the same manner. So locate your next link above that and go ahead and open that up. Take your next largest gemstone chip, pop that loop on like that on one side, and then pop your next largest one on the other side. And that just helps keep these more evenly dispersed when you do one on each side. That way they look a little bit better. So as you can see, this is what we have so far. Now just locate the next link, open that one up, and pop the next 2 largest on that one on either side. Close it up, and now we're on the last link. Open up that one on one side and one on the other. And before we close that up, we are going to go ahead and put on our ear wire. So just go ahead and put that on one side and close up your last link, just like that. And that is the process, my friends, for creating one of these cluster earrings. I am going to go ahead and switch out the chain to the smaller one, let you get a peek at how that looks and the difference. You can see if I hold this up, you can see that the gemstone chips are much looser than these particular ones on the smaller chain, just more compact. But again, still pretty, it's just a different look. So let me go ahead and do that, and we will meet back. So here are the turquoise earrings completed. I went ahead and popped these on that smaller, tighter, compact chain. You can see the difference that made there in these little clusters, and then I went ahead and made one more earring to finish up the pair. And I really love the way these petals look at the bottom of these clusters. Just another idea. If you happen to have any of these particularly large petals, there's just another idea of what you might be able to do with those. Of course, search your stash. You don't have to use something quite like that or quite that big, and you don't even have to use gemstone chips. It's all up to you. You can find all the materials you need for this project minus these beads here at the bottom at beebeecraft.com, so don't forget to check them out. If you are looking for similar materials, they have all kinds of bead and jewelry making supplies, and I highly recommend them. And don't forget you can use that code Gina 2019 to save $5 off your purchase of $40 or more. If you're interested in more Beebeecraft products that I've shared and more tutorials, I do have a playlist set up to share those things. So feel free to check that out as well if you're interested in seeing more. I hope your earrings turned out great, and I hope you enjoyed this project. Please feel free to leave me a comment or question down below. I always love to hear from you guys. That is all for this video today, but I will be back with much more. So stick around with me. Hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And as always, happy beading. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to give it a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. Check out the information section under the video for links to my social media handles and other helpful info. And feel free to check out my shop at orchidandopal.com. Thanks for watching.